Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and someone who knows a lot about Japanese spandex. Incoming random review in 3, 2, 1.
Before we begin, thank you very much to Convoy, just the size of Unicron, for joining the Patreon campaign. I think we saw that in Transformers Energon, didn't we? Didn't we see like a giant Optimus Prime going one-on-one with like undead Unicron? I seem to remember that being a thing. Anyway, it was a short-lived thing, but it's not the Convoy we're talking. We're still referencing in big Convoy terms. So we've covered like multi-dimensional sizes now, but thank you very much for pitching in. Thank you very much for the support. Always appreciated. Helps me out a lot. I need to get my car back from repairs. I appreciate everyone who's pitched into Patreon lately. Thank you very much. So let's take a look at the latest of the primes that has been released. This is Quintus Prime from Age of the Primes, and there is a very particular reason why I, of all reviewers, need to chime in on this particular toy. Now, I will point out, I am a fan of Earthspark, or at least I was a fan of like the first half of it, and then it started to go where it went. We all know that. So this is already going to be a weird Quintus because that really wasn't a factor in the design. Whereas all of the other primes seem to be like an amalgamation of what they were designed into for other cartoons and comic books, etc., with a little bit of their Covenant of Primus designs. This one is strictly the Covenant design. Maybe a little bit of Generations inspiration beyond that, but for the most part, this is very much the alien design that those tended to be. The spaceship mode is definitely unique. So I love all the different shades of green going in here. It's this olive green color with like a brighter metallic version for little paint details, translucent green poking through here and there, this dark green. It looks like, I can't tell, it looks black, but yeah, like to the eye is a very dark green color. And then just like little tiny hits of purple here and there, just to make up a little bit of extra coloring. There's more metallic elements here as well. This brings out a little bit more of a gold to the paint when you see it in those long stripes. It's definitely unique. We will put it like that. Now, obviously, all the different shades of green are immediately going to catch my eye, but also there is the fact that this is a weird-looking spaceship. You do see the cockpit right there. It is a divided cockpit, which means this is not like a one-man fighter. This is much more likely some kind of cruiser. Yes, that's how you tell the difference. You do have a 5mm port on top, just in case you want to plug anything in there as any kind of like play factor. The front end, very Hammerhead, oddly enough. Yeah, it's weird. It's like, I want to describe it, but like, in what terms do I describe it? You have tendrils coming off here that actually peg in on the underside, so this is part of the support when you need to like set it down like so. And then half the vehicle is just the tendrils. And the tendrils themselves are a really cool, unique design. This does give you this visual image, this mental image. Every image is visual. What am I talking about? This gives you a mental image of just like this space squid looking vehicle with these tendrils just kind of like flapping around behind the main ship in some like strange form of space propulsion. It's a fascinating design, but it also strikes of a design of, well, that's what we could fit into the design we had to work with. And once we get into robot mode, that is going to become far more apparent. I really don't have anything to add to this. I mean, it is what it is. It's an interesting vehicle. Let us transform this, and then you will see what else we have going on and what they actually had to work with. So for starters, we're going to open up all of the tendrils. They're all in a soft translucent plastic, by the way. And then they reveal the whole reason why people have been asking me about this toy. All of the hard translucent plastic used below the waist. So first off, let's just get this transformed. We'll talk about this in the robot mode. So this is clipped into this section here. So make sure that's unclipped before you fold those out. And then the other side of the legs are pegged in here on the back side of the thigh. It's important to note that during transformation, you're supposed to aim these tabs into these slots in order to secure the front and the back side of the tendrils down to the leg portion. You don't need to really do this because there is kind of like a soft detent to these hinges, and they hold pretty firm, no problem, unless these are very loose for some reason, either just through time or just bad QC. It really doesn't make any real effect to the overall transformation. So, and for instance, like here's the leg folded up. There it is, unfolded for the transformation. It's a very small change. Like, it really does not add up to much in the overall scheme of the toy's function, which is a little bit disappointing. I'm not going to lie. Basically, the leg transformation just kind of feels like they're giving you busy work that didn't need to be done, but they wanted the toy to have more transformation to it. All right, then we bring all of this down. I'll rotate the whole thing 90 degrees. The rotation part is also not necessary. You can leave the legs where they are normally. I just like to have this painted side up on top of the spaceship mode. With that, I'm going to unfold these and get those out of the way. I'm going to split the top section like so. That's also going to split there. Bring the arms down like that. Rotate around so the painted side is forward. These little tendrils are still going to be in my way here. Fold up the hammerhead looking sections. Rotate arms around to be in the right position. And that's the transformation to the robot mode. It is simple. It is frustratingly simple. So for as difficult as I imagine this design would be to translate into an actual Transformer action figure with a vehicle mode and everything, I was kind of imagining a far more complicated transformation in order to make all of those tendrils work and to make this some kind of compelling toy. And it seems like they went the opposite approach and just made it as simplistic as possible. The back of the ship is literally just the lower half of the robot mode with a couple bits folded in that really technically don't even need to be done in order to look correct in the vehicle mode. You're only going to notice if you look at the back of it, and when are you going to look at the back of this vehicle? So yeah, it just feels like, I don't know, like extraordinarily simple for the Generations line. Far more than I would expect. Like, there's no transformation tricks or anything. It's just bare bones. Now, the robot itself still does have a very interesting look to it, very accurate to how he looked in the Covenant of Primus. And I will give Hasbro all the credit in the world. You know, they went from being very scared and unwilling to release a pink toy in a boys line to releasing a man in a dress as a toy. And I commend them for their progressiveness and their inclusion. Thank you very much, Hasbro. So let's go in and we'll get a look at the head sculpt. I do really like the sculpt of the head. The designer said they were going for a little bit more of a Zen look to him, and like there is a little bit of that. I will give him that. Like, the expression is fairly peaceful. The multiple eye thing is a little bit odd, but I do like that it is, in this case, the translucent plastic on the back of the head actually works for the light piping because it is a very bright color. It's letting light through no matter what, which is good. And the overall look to, like, his body is actually pretty good. You can see all that painted detail from the vehicle mode made its way over, so the robot mode looks intensely painted, especially for a modern Generations toy where normally you get some striping, some detail, like the head has been painted, but they generally try to do as much in bare plastic as possible. Here, man, this looks like an old school paint job. You know, you've got all of this, all these little deviations of color. That's all paint down into the center. Well, that's translucent. You'll see that in a second. But you can see the darker shade painted in there as well. And all of this, of course, it's a very, very well decoed figure. I assume the simplicity of the robot, the transformation, thus smaller part count, thus cheaper to assemble. All of that gives them budget to just like lavish him in paint, and that's exactly what they have done. Overall, yeah, it's a really, really good looking figure. And this is basically what they had. Like, as I said, this is very close to his Covenant design. That's what they had to turn into a vehicle. So the fact they turned him into anything is already remarkable. Maybe it's a little bit simple to get him there, but hey, they didn't have much to work with. At the very least, it creates a clean figure, aside from the kibble in the back of the forearms, but, you know, he actually isn't wearing it too bad. I will give him that. And we do have to talk about what's under the skirt again. So, let's save that for the articulation rundown, because there's one other feature I do have to include here. So, right out of the box, you're going to notice he has no accessories whatsoever. Instead, you have to go into this cockpit here in the back. If I have the nails to get into it, I just trimmed my nails, so this will be fun. There we go. And inside his torso is the whole point of Earthspark, which is the Ember Stone. It's sticking out the front here, so if you have trouble pulling it out, just push it in from that side, and that will give you the extra leverage and loosen it up. And the Ember Stone is, you know, it's a plastic rock. We're not going to begrudge it. That's all it really has to be. It does have Quintus's Prime logo on there, so he's branded it. And the piece itself, obviously, you can mount it in the hand. You can put it toward the chest as well if you want to imagine him like creating something with it. But yeah, it's a very simple accessory, but it's all he's really got to work with. I mean, the character rarely appears. He never appears in combat in Transformer fiction, so I assume this is just the best you got. If we look into the articulation, we have a full ball-jointed neck, which means it can do up and down as well as left and right. Always good to see. Universal shoulder motion means he has all the range in the world at the shoulder point. You also have a hinge at the torso for a little bit more, so that's actually a pretty good range. Bicep rotation, 360 degrees, 90 degree at the elbow. He's got a wrist swivel as well. The waist is 360 degrees. If you want a little bit more fun, those tendrils can swoop forward. They are hinged here, so they have a universal joint and a swivel there, so that they have all full range of motion. And that does have a 5mm port in it, so they actually can hold weaponry or accessories if you would so choose to use them for that. And then now let's take a proper look at the legs. Let's get this whole skirt up and actually take a look at this. So, universal hips. And that is also a little bit of a concern, because that's a translucent hinge on a point that is very dependent on friction. Now, friction in clear plastic, they don't handle as well as, you know, the palm plastic they normally use for hinges and such. And that core there, that is still palm plastic. But this is concerning. I think that's more concerning to me, because mushroom pegs like this are somewhat pressure-based in order to keep the articulation firm. That's a little bit more of a concern. He does have like the full rotation though, and he does have the knee bend as well. We look here. This itself, I'm not terribly concerned about this part, because it has a little bit more flex to it. It's not a very firm hinge. This one is a little bit more concerning. That's also going to be bearing weight, since it's also like part of the, you know, since it's going to be holding up the toy. And then, yeah, you have another hinge there inside it. So you do have the ankle rock, and you do have the forward and back ankle as well. I will give them this. They knew the toy was going to be struggling transformation-wise, so they gave him all the bells and whistles they could. They gave him all the extra articulation. They gave him an extremely nice paint job, but they also knew, no, they're doing this so that the legs blend in to the actual, like, tentacle skirt, which is fine, but I don't think it was overall necessary. Like, the idea is that the legs end up, like, disappearing into the other tendrils, and they are sculpted to look like more tendrils, but it's actually having the opposite effect of just making them stand out more, because they're the brightest thing showing through all of the skirt pieces. So, I'm not sure what they were going for anymore. Like, now my guesses are all thrown out the window. But that's Quintus Prime for you. So low accessories, very simple transformation. Very disappointingly simple for the age of the Primes line. I'm going to say that. If you want him for a unique looking action figure, he certainly is that. If you're looking for a satisfying transformation experience, he is likely not going to satisfy you. He does not satisfy me in that regard. And then, yeah, of course, it's been a long time since we saw Hasbro use this much translucent plastic across hinges and joints. We'll just have to wait and see what happens to him. I'm sure if he becomes a time bomb, Hasbro will be more than willing to release another version that is going to be $30 at the store and not break down on you. But we'll have to wait and find that out. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.